Look how far we've come, all the things we've done. Did it all with love, beauty from the bottom up. All I want is you, you're my favorite view. But there's nothing new, girl, you made my heart beat.
And we are back.
We are back, Bumble Bitches.
Season 3, episode 7 of the To Be Better podcast.
That's crazy to think about.
Is it? Why is it crazy?
Because we're on season 3. We're still growing. We're still thriving. If this were something that would peter off, it would have happened by now.
Yep. I agree with that. So we have, I guess she's ordering our lunch right now, guys. So we're going to bullshit for a minute before we can jump into reading emails, because that's exactly what we will be doing today. Excuse me. We bought 2 tables today that are 6 foot by 3 foot, and we're going to put them together and make a giant square. And we're going to try to set it up so that we can record this way in the house so that you guys can't see the kitchen, and we can move monitors and shit around it. And I think that one of the things that I want to do is set myself up with a keyboard again so that I can handle the chat and a monitor and do all of the tech stuff while we're recording, because there's things that I see pop up. There's things that I think about while we're recording, or I see something and I don't want to interrupt a thought or something, and I want to be able to just quickly pop it into the chat and go. And I think that having the ability to quickly do that without having to interrupt anybody would be a benefit to what we're doing. Got hit with an unexpected expense yesterday. I had to purchase wheels for my truck, because though I lifted it, I put 37s on it, I got tire rub. And it was either put spacers on the truck or buy rims that have a negative 12 millimeter offset or negative 12 offset so that I don't have tire rub. That was not a fun thing. I'm literally just trying to kill time because she's ordering food and I don't want to just have you guys sitting here staring at us. Put everything on wheels. Maybe. Our TV that we're looking at right now is on wheels. I actually just bought one of these for our house. I want to be able to host people here. Like, Scott and Wakinya Scott's in town right now. Mm-hmm. So, it would be really cool to be able to sit down with the 2 of them and do a podcast episode, or bring back Tyler and his wife, Tyler from a different church. He said he would love to come back on the podcast, or host Troy and his wife. Being able to have people physically come into the studio and have conversations with us provides different perspectives and allows us to have social settings and things of that nature. I think that would be fun. I
concur.
Can I ask how much you spent on the rims? You can ask. I'm just not going to tell you. It was not a lot. It was enough that I didn't want to spend it, but it wasn't like I'm not buying like big 20-inch bling rims. They were 17 by 9s. They were stock size rims.
I love the salt in that.
Yeah.
Yep. I can tell I'm sodium deficient.
I'll give you some salty.
You promise?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I fucking promise.
Yeah. Is that like a date for tonight or something? Or
we ain't going to have kids this weekend. We have a whole week of catching up to do. So, get your head out of the gutter.
I love my life. All right, you just want to jump into an email? Is there anything you want to talk about?
We just did.
Okay. Did you talk about your book?
Yeah, I have a book, guys. There's a link right there on the screen. I don't know if you can see it.
Okay.
There's a link in the description to go buy it. I would love you to buy my book and read it and then tell me what you think of it, because I think I did a pretty good job.
I think you did a pretty good job. Okay. Did we say welcome back? Did we do the Bumble?
We did all that right at the beginning.
Did quick, I say anything, or was I just ordering lunch?
You said welcome back, Bumble Bitches.
Did I?
Yeah, and then I what do they call it in politics where they talk to...
Filibuster?
I filibustered.
Okay.
Just until you got on.
All right.
Real quick though, you should probably talk about your side project, since you made me talk about my book.
Oh God, I'm put on the spot.
See, now you know how it feels.
So, Buff Bell and I are starting our own little side podcast underneath the To Be Better umbrella called The Good Wives. And this podcast it's going to be geared towards being a good wife. And we want to talk about the courting phase and realistic expectations. We want to talk about the difference between a woman and a girl and a man and a boy. because those are two very different categories. We have 2 episodes out now, a part 1 and a part 2, that we believe are good qualities of a good wife that we ourselves have and implement and practice every single day. And we also don't want it just to be geared towards women. We want young men, older men, the male population to also watch this content and set expectation for themselves of what they will and will not tolerate out of a marriage.
Yep. There's links for everything in the description of the video, guys. Links for the book, links for the To Be Focused, links for the Good Wives. Somebody on TikTok said we missed an opportunity to not call it To Be a Better Wife. I'm like, damn.
Okay.
To be a better wife, just because of the to be everything.
Yeah.
That's all right, though.
All right. So we're just going to jump into the email?
Sure.
All right. So this is Patreon subscriber. That's what it's titled.
Okay. Hey, speaking of Patreon, real quick, if you guys are not subscribed to our Patreon channel, you should be, because right now we're recording live in front of our Patreon audience. And if you would like to be a part of the conversation and have your chats possibly read on thing, or have your emails skipped ahead of the line, or maybe you want some free merchandise, extra live streams, because we do a whole lot of fucking live streams for Patreon, including our live after dark stuff that we do at random. We've built a whole lot of community there. There's chat rooms, there's coaching, there's a whole lot that happens on Patreon. I highly recommend that you go and check out our Patreon.
Definitely. Anything else?
Like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah. If you guys want to see us continue doing what we are doing, the best thing that you can do to help us grow the channel is share the content.
Yes.
We really need to get back into saying that. Like, that needs to be a regular thing. So I'm going to have to make a note somewhere and don't say the F word, don't say and plug everything.
All right. Getting into it. This is titled Patreon subscriber. I've been watching your podcast for about 2 years now, so I'm sending this message because I genuinely value and trust the input you both have to offer.
That's because we are qualified helpers.
Darn tootin'.
What?
She's looking at Lilo like she's about to play, and we ain't doing that.
Nah.
Yeah, that's right.
Ain't.
We ain't doing that.
She's got a whole lot of energy. She didn't get a walk this morning.
Yeah, she's gonna get a walk this evening, though.
Yeah.
If you happen to join us, I'm gonna take her on that longer route.
Yeah, she didn't get it yesterday because I had snot frozen in my face.
Yeah.
It got cold last night.
It was down in the 30s last night. We ain't built for that.
No.
Okay.
While you're doing that, Candace said pre-record your intro and then just edit it in later. We had a whole lot of pre-recorded stuff. And when you have different lighting, different rooms, and that the set changes, which has happened at least 6 times since we started all this, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
Janae also made a really good point. Don't share this live. This is Patreon exclusive. Don't share this.
yeah. Right. That was for people watching on YouTube. Never share the Patreon only stuff.
All right, jumping back in. So here it is. I'm a 24-year-old mama of a 2.2-year-old. What does that mean? 2.2-year-old son and a 10-month-old daughter. They are my absolute world. My entire life, I've always felt deep down that there was something different about me. Not in an egotistical way, but in the sense that I seem more sensitive than others. When I turned 20, my psychiatrist diagnosed me with borderline personality disorder. I know now that medication doesn't work with BPD, but at the time I was naive. I tried so many antidepressants and mood stabilizers, nothing worked. Being untreated, my intense fear of abandonment affected my relationship with my children's dad significantly. We both did our share, but I felt like I was the culprit. In heated discussions, my trauma response is to run away because if I cry in front of the person I'm talking to, it triggers me if all they do is stare at me with their arms crossed, annoyed that I'm even crying.
So what do you expect them to do?
Right. What is the desired outcome?
Right. If you're upset and crying and I'm not upset and crying, do you want me to just stop the fucking world and forget that we're in conflict right now and pretend that everything is okay and cater to you? Because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And if we're having an argument and she's getting emotional and crying or whatever, they are having an argument and she's getting emotional and crying, the people there you can't expect them to just push all their feelings aside, negate the way that they are feeling to cater to you.
Right.
That's not how that works. I also want to point out real quick before we jump back into this that borderline is not something that's going to affect you your entire life unless you allow it to affect you your entire life. Everybody is at different places in their healing journey, and what looks like complete flaming chaos to some looks like managed, controlled chaos to others. And I'm sorry that you were at that point in your life where you were living in that chaos, but I hope to fucking God that you've done some work and that's not what you're living like now, because that's a choice.
Yeah. Hey guys, little quick interruption. If you're enjoying the content, please leave a like. And also don't forget to comment. We enjoy interacting with you guys and hearing your opinions, and it helps the algorithm.
It's also free to do, and if you really want to help make sure the show continues to do, hit the subscribe button and share the content across your social medias. It costs you nothing, and it greatly helps the show.
Back into the email. I was incapable for 3 years of offering closure for my actions. After having my second baby, I didn't know if it was the biological changes that occur postpartum, but I started to spiral.
Postpartum depression?
Yeah. For 10 months, I probably had the courage to do laundry maybe 3 times.
Why did you say courage to do laundry?
Yeah, I was about to say, that's a really... When I think of courage, I'm about to go face a clown with a chainsaw.
Right. I'm going to do some shit that scares me.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no strength in doing laundry. There's nothing there that you need courage to do.
Yeah. That's
How about you had the
discipline
to do the laundry? You didn't let your emotions and your hormones control you enough to do laundry.
Dictate your productivity.
Right.
Yeah. Continuing on, dishes was done 3 times as well in 10 months. I am absolutely embarrassed and ashamed to have neglected the house that bad. It truly impacted my mental health as well. I cannot stand filth, but even the smallest of tasks seems insurmountable. Up until a few weeks ago, even reading instructions was a chore to me because my thoughts were racing so much that I couldn't comprehend what I was reading. Thinking it was postpartum depression, for months I tried 3 different antidepressants. They only made me worse. I know children being involved is a sensitive subject, so I'm throwing it out there that they weren't exposed to anything out of the ordinary. My grandmother helped me a ton with the kiddos because she knew that I was struggling.
That's good.
It is good. As you both might be wondering, where's the dad to help? He's been around, but he has been so depressed and lost from my constant spiraling that he didn't have the energy to pick up my slack.
So wait, are you saying that you went 10 months and only did dishes 3 times?
Yes.
And he didn't pick up the slack or help at all during that 10 months?
That's my understanding.
That I call bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your house would be fucking infested with bugs.
Right. Well, grandma's also there. So I don't know if grandma was picking up that slack or not.
Yeah. Laundry was done only a couple of times during all that time frame. Husband didn't help there either. You guys just wore dirty clothes.
Right.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that he probably didn't do as much as she wanted, but probably more than she's giving him credit for.
Mm-hmm.
But I also would like to just real quick touch on the mental state of a man when his house is in chaos. If she's depressed and she's feeling what she's feeling and going through all of that with a new baby, the entire world has changed.
Oh yeah.
It's very hard on anyone in that position to want to be around or to want to help or do anything. I'm really surprised he didn't go, this isn't the life I wanted to live, or turn to some sort of escapism.
I admitted myself into a psychiatric hospital. It was long overdue and probably the best thing I've ever done for myself. My psychiatrist diagnosed me with bipolar disorder, rapid cycling. Just after my first dosage of lithium, I already noticed a difference. I also did DBT and group therapy. I don't think I've ever felt this balanced. Does that mean you were misdiagnosed with borderline?
It's possible.
From my understanding, borderline and bipolar cannot coexist.
I know that borderline gets misdiagnosed quite a bit.
It does, yeah.
Go ahead.
I had someone today on my TikTok live that their brother was diagnosed their first appointment with their psychologist with borderline. That sounds impossible to me.
I mean, it's definitely difficult, but it's not impossible. You can, if you do a little bit of research on the internet, you can fucking get a diagnosis.
Yeah.
So I think that somebody that specializes in something might be able to be a whole lot more effective than your average, just general person. Right.
Psychiatrist. Yeah.
Right.
Psychologist, however you like to phrase that.
Yeah. Before we move on real quick, I just want to touch on, Candace said, FYI, sadly, there really are homes like this. Don't need an FYI. guys, when we have conversations on this podcast, we do not speak to the extremes. We speak to the broad of humanity. And I'm not going to ever put myself in a position where I have to stop and list all of the potential external
Possibilities.
not norm situations. We are speaking to life as a whole. And if things have to be inclusive for everyone involved, this is not the podcast.
Yeah.
You guys are more than welcome to turn this off. I 100% support that decision. I want to have a conversation. I would like to speak on the norms, and then for the extremes of situations, we can definitely break that down in separate episodes or have those discussions later, but life is not all encompassing.
Right. I'm going to have to do research into that to see if bipolar and borderline can coexist within someone's brain.
Google it. While she's Googling that, for those of you who watched...
oh, wow, it is.
It is possible.
It is. This is called comorbid, BD and BPD.
Comorbid.
Yeah.
So are we going to get a deep dive then? Not right now, but in the future?
Yeah, not
because
right now,
you are
but-
definitely intrigued. I can see it on your face.
Yeah, because I didn't know that was a thing. My understanding was that because they're both personality disorders, I just didn't know you could have more than one personality disorder affecting somebody like that.
No, you absolutely can have more than one personality disorder. I actually had a full thing that I was about to go, and it just completely derailed.
Yeah. Back to the email.
Sure.
My partner did support me through it via phone and still is. I got home a couple of days ago and I've gotten more done in the house in just 2 days than I have in over a year. I'm struggling currently with a lot of guilt. All of the months I've spent spiraling, having suicidal ideation, being a slave to my emotions, not being present. It is so hard to foster self-forgiveness.
Why?
Right.
That 10 months or however long it was that happened. That time frame is over with. You've got your shit together now. Why continue to choose to live in that mindset? Now you've changed one aspect of your life, found the thing that you needed to have balance, and now you're looking for a reason to feel guilt and remorse to punish yourself for what you did. Mm-hmm. You went through that 10 months. You survived it. You've got your balance now. Focus on what you need to do to get your fucking house in order.
Yep.
All of that guilt and all of that shit, save that. There's no room for any of that. Hey, that happened. I got my shit in order now.
What am I doing today?
Today is today. It's not 10 months ago.
All right, continuing on. I'm also struggling with getting my partner's forgiveness. For being unstable for 3 years, it's affected every aspect of our relationship. He doesn't want to be intimate with me. He doesn't want to hear my thoughts or opinions. He doesn't want to get married yet. But he'll play our shared hobby with me, video games, Call of Duty, as long as there's friends playing with us, because that's when I'm most tolerable.
He's not playing for you. He's playing for the friends.
Yeah, it's the community he's getting out of it.
Yep.
Not intimate enjoyment, quality time.
Right.
I want to find another video game like, what was that game that we played where we were shrunk down to little creatures?
It Takes Two?
It Takes Two.
Was that the name of it?
Yeah.
I feel like it was.
I want to play more games like that with you.
We could play Sackboy. I think that you can co-op that.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Call of Duty now has Prop Hunt as private lobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could all be in the same chat playing Prop Hunt.
Oh, hell yeah. I really enjoyed Call of Duty when it was us against them, but they're our friends.
Yeah.
And we can just all shit talk.
Yeah.
It was fun. I also like that I would listen to like, no, don't go there. They're going to see you, and be like, where?
Yeah.
You have to be sneaky about how we lay shit out because we're all on the same map and we know the key phrases that we say when we're in opposing team games. The only thing that I really have to say on him not wanting to, like, this relationship is tainted. Very tainted. And I can't speak on what he has done in the relationship because it hasn't been mentioned, but you have 100% trained him how to respond or react or to handle you. And it sounds like he just doesn't want to do it anymore. That really speaks to the damage that's been done.
Yeah. That little sliver of information that she gave where he doesn't want to interact with her and doesn't want to be around her and doesn't want the intimacy and only plays games when there's groups around and doesn't want to marry me yet. I don't think he wants to marry you at all. I think at this point you are the mother of his child and he's there out of obligation.
Yeah,
that's truly what that sounds like to me.
That yet sounds like a placate.
Expect, like, she's hopeful that it'll still happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. People need to not expect that, right? Just because you've been together with somebody for some time doesn't mean that you are the person that they see themselves truly settling down with.
Right.
You know, and this can speak to a whole lot of other conversations like, you know, I'm not going to do wife shit until I'm a wife, or I'm not going to do husband shit until I'm a husband. Well, you're not going to be, right? Like that comes before.
Yeah.
You have to show that you have those qualities. It's a whole different discussion.
Continuing on.
Yep.
I still have the reoccurring thoughts I used to have, of course, but I'm not a slave to them anymore. I'm able to process and redirect my thoughts into something positive. That's dope. I wasn't able to do that before I went to the hospital. Not repeating any of the issues isn't the problem. It's offering closure that I'm struggling with. I told my partner that I felt that closure and change is something he's going to have to observe over time, that I'm struggling with processing everything and forgiving myself. I'm hung up on the closure. What closure has to happen? Because in my mind, the change is the more prevalent thing. Closure is like our relationship ended and I want to understand why you ended it.
Right.
Closure is you traumatized me and I don't understand why you did the things that you did and I need an explanation.
So that I can move on.
Right.
Can you reread what you just read one more time, please? Because there was something that I got hung up on, and I'm hungry. I'm losing my thought process.
Yeah, my tummy's growling over here. I told my partner that I felt that closure and change is something he's going to have to observe over time.
Nope, before that.
It's offering closure that I'm struggling with.
Nope.
Not repeating any of the issues isn't the problem. I wasn't able to do that before I went to the hospital.
Okay.
I still have reoccurring thoughts I used to have, of course, but I'm not a slave to them anymore. I'm able to process and redirect my thoughts into something positive.
I mean, there's active change. Whatever my thought process was, is gone.
Okay.
It was something very specific about their relationship.
Okay. But he feels like I need to earn his forgiveness first before I start working on forgiving myself.
Oh, okay. It was something about, it came back, but I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something that I wanted to say about her making amends to him out of a control situation. Oh, it was something that she said that triggered that thought, but it's there now specifically because she's got to make amends and he's got to forgive her before she's allowed to forgive herself.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Oh, yeah, fuck that.
Fuck that.
You're not going to get anything from me that I can't give to myself yet.
Right. Where's the grace?
Yeah.
He's not willing to marry me yet. Is this somebody that you want to marry?
Right.
Somebody that's going to manipulate your psychosis and make you do things because you're feeling guilt? Because that's what it sounds like. That's what I was going to say. It sounds to me like he's manipulating the situation of her guilt to make her conform to do the things that he wants to do.
Yeah.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like you need to ask me permission.
Right. Hey, I understand our relationship's fucked up because I went through a mental health crisis for 3 years, but I feel evenly balanced now, and I would really like to start establishing a new relationship with you, and maybe we can get back on the same footing. I really appreciate you not leaving me in my time of need.
And all of the bullshit that I carried. And
I'm not feeling guilt for any of it. It happened. I'm I have remorse that it happened. I'm sorry that I fucking put you through that, but I'm better now.
Yeah.
We're not living in the last 3 years. We're living in today.
Right.
How do you want the next 3 years to look? Because if I have to make amends for the last 3 years over the next 3 years, I'm going to be bitter and resentful at the end of that 3 years, and we're going to be right where we are.
Yeah. I'm able to not carry yesterday's problems into today, but I'm having a hard time making amends for small problems that wound up becoming big because of my inability to communicate effectively. Am I narcissistic? My partner tells me I live in my own world and only care about my wants and needs. I do the bare minimum for everyone else, he says. He tells me I have a low emotional IQ and that it feels like he's dating an imbecile because when he tells me he's still not happy with how I'm trying to solve the problem, I ask him to tell me what I need to do, presumably lacking the independence I need. The name calling is absolutely not necessary.
Yeah, I actually don't think that she's a narcissist in this. And for him to actually throw that label on her and to do that, I think speaks more on him than it does on her.
Right.
This is manipulation and control, and I got to be honest, I see abuse in this.
Yeah. What I got from this is that he's more speaking on his past experience of her and not looking at who she is now.
Yeah.
when I was in my unhinged borderline, and if somebody were to call me a narcissist 5 years ago, I believe it. I was very self-serving. I didn't care how my actions affected other people. And if you came to me calling me on my bullshit, I didn't do that. Well, I have video of you doing it. That's not me. What was that? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to process. Every time you talk about who you were in the past, it's so fucking hard for me to see that in you. It's just not who you are. Like, we've done a whole lot of work to get to where we are.
Yeah.
And we both have really nasty pasts. But I have never known that version of you. So it's just hard to hear it sometimes. And for me to be like, oh, she had a past.
Yeah.
Because that shit doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, none of that shit affected my life. I didn't know you then. So I don't know. I don't like where this, I don't like this entire situation. If I was in this chick's life in a day to day, I would not be okay sitting on the sidelines watching all of this transpire.
Oh God, no. Yeah, I would definitely be planting the seeds of, is this really what you want the rest of your life to look like?
Right.
Continuing on, I need...
Wait. Not continuing on. Not continuing on. My duty as a man is to lead my family.
Right.
He's the father of their children. This is his family, marriage or not. This is your chosen family. You decided to have children with this woman. This is your family. If the relationship that you have with your woman is fucked up and you think she's an imbecile and you think of all these things of her and you think less of her, it's because you're fucking failing in your leadership abilities, bro. Mm-hmm. How about that? How's that for fucking narcissism?
Yeah.
I don't like that shit. You start using somebody's mental health against them in a way that is able to manipulate and control them to get a desired outcome of them feeling guilty and submitting to you under an air of, it's abuse. That's all there is to that. How about I love you and I'm sorry that you went through the last 3 years of your life and I can tell that you're fucking balanced now. Let's get our life back together, babe.
Mm-hmm. He's holding on to resentment from how he was treated.
Yeah. So fucking glad I got my woman back.
Yep.
That's where my head would be at. You're having a good day today? Fucking great. Let's do something.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, let's fuck like we did when we first met each other. Like, well, you did this for the last 3 years and I'm hurt because of it.
Yeah.
Go stand in a corner.
I need your guys' input on that. Is it reasonable for me to earn his forgiveness first before my own? No. I don't view that as reasonable.
I don't either.
Challenge my thoughts here, please. I feel like in order for me to offer closure and get his forgiveness, I need to have processed the stuff on my own end first. I'm 100% open to being wrong. I just feel like I need guidance and advice on how I can better communicate and close out any past issues I'll no longer repeat.
The problem is we don't know what your past issues are. You haven't given us any of that.
Right.
So there's not been any of that. So far, you're telling us what he's done and the way that he's acting and what you feel you need to do in terms of closure. Mm-hmm. But we don't know what you did. We don't know if you cheated. We don't know if you threw something at him, if you fucking stuck his hand in a blender. Like, we have no fucking idea what you've done. So that statement is an incohesive email.
Yeah. There's only one more sentence.
That idea of closure is not a thing. You're not going to get closure if you're in a relationship. You need acceptance.
Yeah.
This happened. Let's move past that.
Right. The final sentence is, I am deeply in love with this man and I just want to be better for myself and for us. So you're in love with a man who tells you that you're an imbecile, that you have a low emotional IQ, that you do the bare minimum for everyone else, that you're selfish, that you're a narcissist, that you only care about your wants and needs, and that you lack independence. You're in love with that man.
They knock you down so far that you don't see your self-worth and you do everything I want you to do.
Yeah. I feel like we commented on the things that we could in this email, but there was really not much provided in regards to the things that were done in the past that he's still hung up on.
I agree. Because we don't know what they are.
Right.
All right, guys, as you know, there was a TikTok scare. We lost the app for a whole 12 hours and we have no idea what the future of the app looks like. And with that, we are very concerned about the loss of our following. We have amassed almost 3 million followers across that platform with all 4 of our accounts. And we are trying to push people to other social media platforms so that in the event that anything happens on one app, we have multiple other backup plans. If you want to make sure that you're not missing any content, we highly recommend that you check out our Patreon.
On Patreon, we have multiple tiers to choose from. Starting at $10, you begin to receive exclusive content. At $15 a month, you get access to our private Discord server where we've amassed an absolutely amazing community of supportive people. And beyond that, we have other tiers to check out, along with my 2 private women's group, if that's something you may be interested in.
Guys, on our $15 and higher tier, you have access to live recordings. We record all of our content 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week, live in front of our Patreon audience, where they are able to chat with us while we're recording. They get to see all the flirting, the outtakes, the hot topic conversations that never actually make it on the podcast. And it's really worth that aspect in itself. We have an After Dark where we sit down usually once a week and have a glass of bourbon, or in Peach's case, a glass of wine and a bowl of cheese. And we have a whole lot of fun conversations, karaoke in the Discord. We finish the lyrics. We literally just hang out, and you guys get to hang out with us. There is a host of other perks, including Zoom calls that are coming for the ultimate tier, so that if you guys are having problems, you can talk to us. It also gives you the heads up on private meet and greets, because when we travel, we try to meet up with people on our Discord on a regular basis. There's a whole slew of other perks that come through Patreon. I highly recommend that you check it out.
The best way to support what we are doing is to share the content. The second best way is to check out our Patreon. Thank you guys for being here. All right, this one says, please help.
Hopefully you give us something that we can help you with. Can you do me a favor? Can you just move that cord off of your foot? That works.
Why?
I don't know why. I have been fucking fixated on the fact that that cord is over your foot, and the entire time we've been sitting here, I think she's going to stand up and trip.
No, I was bouncing it on my foot. I could feel it.
Then you can put it back if you knew it was there.
No, it's going to bother you.
Mental health for the win, guys.
All right, you want to jump into it? Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm a father of 2 and have a wife I love more than anything, but I'm not sure how to help her. I am the only income for our household and have been for 5 years now. Our oldest. So my wife can be a stay-at-home mom. Our oldest. Why was that included there?
There's probably a name in front of it that was redacted. That definitely doesn't read right.
Okay. I love providing for the ones I love, but in February, our second child was born and everything has changed and I'm at a loss. My oldest, I believe, is jealous of the time he now loses during the day with his mom because of the baby, and now butts head with her every day to the point where they are both losing their shit. My wife has very bad anxiety and depression, so she tries to discipline, but as soon as she does, she is filled with guilt and anxiety that she ruined his childhood and their relationship. The reason I'm telling you this is because I'm up at 5 to work and I'm not getting home until 7 or 8 at night, basically long enough to tuck the kids to bed and help with dishes from supper before I head to bed myself. Our parenting styles are as far apart on the spectrum as you can get. I spank, hand only, I don't use objects, and my wife talks to him to try to reason with him or find the root of the problem. The difference is he knows where he stands with me and that I'm the boss of him, but being as stubborn as he is, her words only go in one ear and out the other. So now after 2 years of her style of parenting, he thinks he's above her and is now demanding, cussing, and just disrespectful towards her. But it's never in front of me in the evenings or on our weekends.
It's because she doesn't discipline.
I'm so confused. This is a 2-year-old? I'm assuming this is a 2-year-old and he's cussing at her?
Where did he learn that behavior?
Right. I told my wife I would never make her spank our kids. But she has failed to gain his respect, and I'm afraid if this continues, it'll be a hard road for a long time. I don't know how to help, but it's starting to put a strain on our relationship because I come home after 12 to 14-hour days, and it's nothing but pissed off people in the house, and I'm constantly trying to mend her feelings or talk to our 5-year-old, and talk to our 5-year-old about something that happened 10 hours ago that he forgot about already, and it's just getting exhausting, and we're not gaining any ground.
Right. You can't punish a 5-year-old 6 hours, 7, 8 hours after something's happened.
Oh, yeah. Object permanence is still very much a thing.
Right.
He moved on with his life.
I'm glad that he clarified that there's a 5-year-old and not a 2-year-old, because all I could think of is, why the fuck are you spanking a 2-year-old?
Yeah.
Like getting ready to run to the road and you grab them up and smack their ass over something like that. Like I can get that because you want them to think.
That's if
pain.
I do that, I'm going to get hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a safety thing. But 2 years old, their brain's not even at 5. Like it takes a lot to to justify spanking. You can make the threat all day long.
Mm. And I view a difference between swatting the butt and an actual spanking.
Right. I don't envy this dude.
Yeah.
Her not taking control of her house and her being a stay-at-home mom and him having to come home to a fucking war zone. I wouldn't want to come home.
Yeah. Her parenting her children out of guilt are going to ruin her kids.
Yeah.
They're going to grow up to be nasty adults and thinking they can do whatever they want to get whatever they want. If you guys haven't watched BoJack Horseman, I would highly recommend watching it. It's a cartoon animated adult show, but the lessons that are talked about and the things that go on in that show, I think are very prevalent to today's society. And BoJack Horseman is a very good example of somebody who does whatever they want to and doesn't care about the fallout because in the end, they feel good about what they got out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you love that show. It's been background noise for quite a while for you. I've even caught myself watching a couple of episodes of it with you. I understand why he's writing in.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking get it. It's not on you to fix your wife.
No. And it's not on, what did he say? I'm constantly trying to mend her feelings. She needs to be doing that herself.
Right. That's her responsibility.
Right. If she is incapable of being in charge of her own being, how is she going to raise humans?
Well, she's not.
Right.
She's absolutely not.
Yeah. I understand the gentle parenting and not wanting to traumatize a child. It sounds like she needs to go to therapy. If she is so concerned about messing up their childhood with discipline, I had to go to therapy. And I had to talk that out. And I had to come to realizations that without discipline in my children's lives, I am failing to prepare them for adulthood.
Absolutely.
And that's going to do far more damage than go stand in the corner for 5 minutes.
Right. There's also a very real reality of kids misbehaving to get attention from their parents. That happens. We know that that's a thing. So if the youngest is getting attention from mom in the moment and the oldest wants the same attention from mom, her not being able to quell that and be able to separate that and still give them equal attention without them getting bad, because in him getting bad and having the blow-ups, he's getting all the attention.
Right. Oh, fudge. I was going to say something. What did you just say, babe?
That the kid is acting out for attention.
Yes. If you are not carving out time to spend one-on-one with your 5-year-old, I can understand why he's acting out. Children crave love, validation, acceptance, praise from their parents. Mm-hmm. I used to be that mom. This was a while ago when they were still in diapers, where I would become so overwhelmed that I would just scream in the house. And that's my own emotional dysregulation. I almost said irregulation, and I went to unregulation. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're at seeked again. I would recommend therapy. It sounds like she needs help to figure out how to deal with herself. And then if there is a nighttime routine, if you're not reading to your children, you should be reading to your children.
It's that quality time.
It's that quality time. I made a TikTok about it this morning. Our daughter now, when she goes to bed, mommy, come read to me. She doesn't even want to watch TV anymore. Yep. I want you to come in here. I want you to read to me. And I read to both of the children, not every single night. Sometimes our son will want to watch like a science video or something on my phone, and then we'll have discussions about that. But that is one-on-one quality time that they get from me without the other sibling interjecting and trying to interrupt. And, mommy, look at this. Look what I can do. Look over here. Right. Pay attention to me.
Which happens all day long.
All day long. It's nonstop. And at night, they each get at minimum 30 minutes. Sometimes they get an hour if they're having a rough night of undivided attention where we talk about their days. We talk about the things that made us happy. We talked about things that we could do better. And I do a little mini check-in with the children, and we don't just talk about their behavior. We talk about my behavior. What could I have done better today as your mommy? What did I do today as your mommy that made you really happy?
Right.
And we talk about school. We talk about their life outside of the household. And then I read to them. The last thing my children hear before they go to bed at night is my voice. It's one of the most comforting things I think that I can provide to them is safety. And both of the children are at that age where they're scared of the dark.
Yes, they are. I real quick, I want to touch on something before I forget. I've been holding on to it, but you've been going, and I didn't want to interrupt you. The discipline aspect. If you don't teach your kids consequences for their actions, the world is going to.
Yeah.
And when do you want that to happen? Do you want it to happen when they mouth off to the wrong person and get jumped by that person and 5 of their friends, or when they end up breaking the law because they're not emotionally regulated and smash something in a department store and then they go to jail?
Yeah.
Do you want them to catch a charge? Do you want them to not understand that if you want to have success in life, you got to do the work, because that is a consequence of your actions? And when kids are having meltdowns like that, giving them the attention that they want instead of putting them in a timeout situation is doing exactly what they want. They're manipulating you. They know that if I do X, Y, and Z, mommy's going to do X, Y, and Z, so I'm going to do that.
And if I do this for long enough, she's just going to give in.
Yeah. It's a learned behavioral trait.
I watched a TikTok the other day of a comedian talking about how him and his family, he has brothers and sisters, and they have children. He has nieces and nephews. They were at a Chili's. And his niece or nephew, who was young, was throwing an absolute temper tantrum. And he was like, my siblings believe in gentle parenting. And he was like, my sister was laying on the ground of this Chili's going, tell me what you need. What can I do to make you feel better? And he made a joke about how his other sister was sitting in the corner rubbing crystals together.
Oh, yeah. I actually heard this.
And he was like, I don't give a fuck. You can look at me, go to the bathroom, and I'll smack your kid for you.
Yeah.
Like...
That's funny.
I can understand the fear of abusing your child. You know what abuse looks like, right, especially if you've experienced it. Being able to differentiate between that happened to me and I'm not repeating that with my child is a huge thing to look at.
I would never.
Never what?
If they laid on the floor and
get your ass up.
I'd yank that motherfucker up by the arm and take him right outside the restaurant.
Yeah.
Sit him on the back of the car. You can act like that the fuck out here. You are not ruining other people's dinners. Mm-hmm. And I'll stand outside. You can scream and yell all the fuck you want. I'm going to play on my phone until you're done.
Let me know when you're done. Then we can talk about this and go back inside and enjoy dinner.
Right.
I would have walked out there with my plate too.
You raise your kids right. They don't do that shit.
Yeah. Our children don't throw temper tantrums anymore.
No.
Our son is starting to get into stomping when he's not getting his way or he's trying to like huff and puff and act all tough, but that's just the next step of him growing up. He's trying to find new ways to get what he wants.
Right.
We're going to nip that in the butt.
I actually think that what he's doing is still throwing temper tantrums.
It's just a different way.
Yeah, it's just a more evolved, aged way.
So let me rephrase. He's not throwing himself on the ground and screaming and crying anymore.
Right.
Our daughter has evolved into just crying.
Yeah.
She thinks that the waterworks is going to get her what she wants. You can go do that in your bedroom.
And when you're done crying. And then I close the door.
Yeah. And then
I don't want to hear it. You can scream as loud as you want with the door closed.
Yeah. It starts with a and then it turns into the
yeah.
And they're sounding like a goose.
You can cry, get it out of your system, and then once you feel better, we can talk about what's going on.
I can give you a hug. We can talk about it. But you're not going to stand in the middle of my kitchen and howl like a monkey.
Yeah. I want the kids to feel their feelings and be able to express them, but understand that there is a time and a place for it.
Yeah. Yesterday morning, our son had a very rough morning yesterday.
He had a rough day all around yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was just a bad day. And I've had a really rough 2 weeks. Not yesterday, but the day before. I was feeling great. I finally felt like I was coming out of whatever funk that I was in. And then some shit transpired that night. And I just started spiraling again. I woke up the next morning and I was like, today's going to be a good day. I need to reel it back in. I need to get it together. Woke him up and it was immediate bullshit. And I was like, all right, I stayed calm. I was trying to keep it together. And then my frustration started bubbling up. And then that's when you stepped in. And on the way to school, we were still on our road. I was like, Bubbies, do you understand your behavior is not going to get you what you want? And he was like, yes. And I was like, then why are you acting this way? I don't understand. Like, help me understand why you're doing what you're doing so that we can move forward from it. If you want something, just say I want something. And if you get told no, there needs to be an acceptance there.
Right.
Not a temper tantrum because the answer's still going to be no. Now you're just in trouble over it. And he started crying and I pulled over the car and I got out of the car. It was 30 degrees outside. And I opened up the side of the van and I gave him a hug and I was like, son, what's the matter? He didn't say that he was overwhelmed, but the gist of it is that he's overwhelmed in life. I mean, he's almost 7 years old. There's a lot of pressure on him at school. There's a lot of pressure on him at home to, we have a standard. And when we dip below that standard, it's going to be known. I'm disappointed in you right now. This is not what I expect out of my children. Kids go through a lot, just like adults go through a lot. And just how we get overwhelmed, we're able to say that. Kids don't know what they're feeling. They just know they don't want to feel this way anymore. Right. And there needs to be a grace there with that. And I think when an adult doesn't give themselves grace, how are you going to be able to give your child grace?
The difference between us being raised and them being raised is we give we afford them the space
Yeah.
to go through what they're going through
Without getting in trouble or berated or yelled at.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly it. And that falls right back to what I said earlier. I want you to feel what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And you can express 5 years old. I'm okay with them going, this sucks.
Yeah.
While they do whatever it is that they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because a little bit later in life, I can be like, hey, you've been able to voice that you don't enjoy this. Now you got to learn to curb when you say this sucks. Right? I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
I don't want them to start crying and be like, to go through what I went through.
Right.
I just don't. And there's a whole lot of navigating this because as adults and us being regulated, it's hard for us to remember what it was to be
Little.
7, 8 years old, 6, 5, 6, whatever.
Yeah.
While it's happening, and that giving them the space to cry or to do what they're doing. If you want to cry, cry. Do it silently. You don't have to fucking wail.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing that for attention. You're not hurt. You're upset for whatever the fucking reason is. And because you don't know how to say that you're overwhelmed or life is kicking you in the teeth right now,
Yeah.
you go cry.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that shit. Get it out of your system and let's talk about it. I'm totally fine with that. But what we're not going to do is fucking scream and yell and knock things over and fucking lay down.
Try to hit mommy.
Lay down in a Chili's restaurant.
Yeah.
Tell me what you need. What you need is an ass whooping. Because we ain't acting like that in public. There's a time and a place.
Got me fucked up. It's not my child.
Yeah, you can't go to your boss as an adult and lay down on their floor, kick and scream and cry and expect to keep your fucking job.
Yeah, right. I don't yell as often anymore. Now it's just to get their attention.
Yep, because it works.
It does work. Our daughter, you're either gonna get out of my seat or I'm gonna sit on you. I'm not playing that game.
You get one warning.
Yeah,
I'm not telling you over and over again.
I hit her with she was sprawled out. We only have one couch in our living room right now. And it's big enough to fit me, my husband, and one child. 2 if somebody's lying on top of me. And I was like, please get out of my seat. And she said, I don't want to. Then I hit her with that. Get up! And she went, okay, mommy. And I was like, you darn tootin'. Shouldn't have to repeat myself. And then I feel bad about yelling like that. But I still also struggle with that. I don't want to fuck up their childhood. But really, out of all of the things that I do for the children, I think the last thing they're going to remember is mom yelled at me because I didn't listen to her when she told me to get out of her seat.
I think we should do a deep dive on what gentle parenting actually is.
Versus what people claim it is.
I don't believe people claim it's anything.
Yeah.
I believe that we put 2 words together, gentle and parenting, and go, I know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Because I know what gentle is, and I know what parenting is.
Yeah. And there are people just not parenting.
I don't want my kid to be abused, so I'm going to let them do whatever they want because I didn't like being told no.
Right.
Or whatever the situation is.
Is parenting even in the room with us right now?
Right.
Because you look like a friend. You want to do another email? We're coming up on an hour.
Oh, yeah, we can.
Okay.
I didn't realize we were done.
All right. This one is a Patreon supporter looking for advice. Hey guys, my wife and I recently been working to create a uniquely supportive environment for our kids. Our entire family is neurodivergent. The oldest is 15 and is diagnosed with ADHD, DMDD, which is disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, or bipolar for kids, ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, and CD, conduct disorder, which was explained to us as borderline for children. The middle 2 are twin girls about to be 14 and diagnosed with ADHD and autism with generalized anxiety. The youngest is almost 8 with ADHD and an IQ of 134. My wife is diagnosed with ADHD as well as am I. Oh, y'all just sprinkled that shit all over the children. I'm kidding. It's a joke. Don't take it personally. An 8-year-old with an IQ of 134 terrifies me.
It won't last.
No?
No. Remember that study that was done? This is
Oh,
as
yeah,
long as
that's
kids are in
right.
public school system, the dumber they get.
Yeah, the dumber they get. Their IQs drop. I can't wait to pull our kids out of school. Continuing on. I'm technically my kid's stepdad. Their dad passed away of an accidental overdose 11 and a half months after he and my now wife were married and a month after the youngest was born. You know, I've never understood the term accidental overdose.
It happens. Two meds that don't mesh well.
Oh, yeah.
Could be somebody takes a pain med not realizing that it's time released.
See, I didn't think about that. When I think of like accidental overdose, I think of like Amy Winehouse,
Yeah.
who was sober for a long period of time and then thought that she could continue drinking at the pace that she was prior. I didn't think about medication like that. Thanks for that perspective.
Well,
man.
I had somebody, I actually knew like a legitimate hacker at one point in my life
Yeah.
who was prescribed a whole bunch of shit by his doctor, different doctors, and he ended up having an accidental overdose.
Wow.
And it was because his meds didn't do well inside of his system and he went down.
That's terrifying. All right. Continuing on. It was almost 8 years ago that he passed away. Their dad was a very good friend of mine. I met my now wife through him when she was the mother of his children, an on-again, off-again girlfriend. I've changed all of their diapers at one point or another. Oh, so you were familiar with the children. You weren't just some random guy who showed up. Okay. I mean, that's a really good... I love that. Their dad told me at one point that if anything ever happened to him, I was the only person he trusted to take care of his family. So now I call them my sons and daughters because that's what they are to me, and that's what I am for them, even though I never try to replace their dad, and I always honor his memory, and my wife agrees. I love everything about that. My wife's relationship with him was very traumatic for her and the oldest 3 kids, as he was an alcoholic, physically abusive to her, and never wanted to help with the kids at all unless he was getting something out of it. When he died in January of 2017, my wife was broken and trying to raise 3 kids and an infant alone with almost zero support. Her mom had passed away 5 years prior, and her dad is a useless human. It was all she could do to keep them alive. She was not able to be mentally or emotionally present beyond that. For the next almost 3 years, the kids mostly just went to school and played video games / watched TV without being given any responsibility or structure, as my wife was unable to do more than that. This is why I understand that there was a passing and there is a reason that dad's not present. There are so many women out there. How do I want to phrase this? Damn it. Being a single mom is difficult. And for many, it's unsustainable, especially with multiple children. The working full time, the stress of the finances, the maintaining the household, being the cook, being the doctor, being the sole provider, of more than just the finances. You have to be there for every child emotionally. You have to be there for every child as a disciplinary. You have to show intrigue and a want to bond with them. 4 children is stressful. That's maintaining 4 different relationships within the household, and all 4 of them have different needs.
Right. She was doing it alone even before he died.
Yeah.
And dude said he was an alcoholic, which means that's probably where the accidental overdose came.
Yeah. I just want to put emphasis on who you choose to marry is going to be the most important decision of your life.
Yep.
And if you marry somebody who's a piece of shit now and then you have children with them and then you end up leaving them, you're setting yourself up for a lot of hardships. Continuing on. My wife and I got together in October of 2019 while I was still in my active alcoholism and addiction. In February of 2020, my wife, girlfriend at the time, gave me the ultimatum that either I got sober or we're done. I asked her to drive me to rehab that night, February 26th of 2020. I am now almost 5 years sober. We have built a beautiful life together, but our kids, mostly the oldest, still struggle with emotional identification, communication, and regulation, and we don't know very well how to support them in that.
They have all these diagnoses. Why not take them to therapy? If what you guys are doing is not enough and you need fucking help, therapy is going to be the way to go.
Watch YouTube videos.
Yeah.
There are so many therapists on YouTube giving out free information because they want to help people. Continuing on, we've got an idea to make an emotions board for them as they really struggle with identifying and verbalizing their emotions. This would allow them to tell everyone how they're feeling that day, or a moment to help identify their feelings and eventually communicate them verbally. We feel it's essential to help them through all of this, to help them become more independent, which will give my wife and I the ability to have more quality time, which we've been focusing on. Chris, I heard you talk on a podcast about having BPD and being able to identify and communicate what kind of day you're having, so Peaches knows how to better support you where you're at. That's what I want this to become for the kids. My question is, what are the big emotions you feel that could interfere with being able to communicate and interact with others? I'm trying to understand BPD better to support my son, but I'm not finding much on the big emotions of BPD in my online research.
Because there's no such thing as big emotions. What you're looking for doesn't exist. Everybody is going to feel things differently at different times.
Yeah.
Anger, rage, sadness, happiness, joy, whatever. Like it's all the same emotions.
Mm-hmm.
We feel the exact same thing everybody else does. It's just to an extreme.
Yeah.
When I wake up in the morning and go, I'm having a hard fucking day today, it's so that you know that like I'm not okay. If I wake up and I'm just meh, I'm not saying shit. Today's just today.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. If I wake up and I'm in a great fucking mood, you'll see that. Us checking in with each other is more about letting each other know where our mental space is so that we can serve one another. I love the idea of an emotional board. And when he said that in my head, it was like Susie, Tommy, Billy,
Bob.
Jessica, right? With like a really angry face all the way to a really happy face and like a little magnet that you can just put over each of those faces. Mm-hmm. So you can just walk by and be like, not okay today. Today is a great day. Dad told me to clean a room. I'm no longer happy. Fuck this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Sticking it down there.
Yeah.
But you would then have to monitor that board and then go, hey, what does that face mean to you? Can you explain how you're feeling right now? Because when I look at that face, based off of what I'm judging by your body language, I see these things. Is it any of those? Because you can't expect them to be able to express their emotions and what they're feeling if they've never been taught what those emotions or what they're feeling is.
Mm-hmm. One way that I'm working with the children now to identify emotions is letting them know where I'm at. So if I'm in the kitchen and I'm rushing around and I'm flustered and they come to me and I say something out of the side of my neck and I have to apologize, I didn't mean to say that way, or I'm sorry, I just raised my voice a little bit. I'm overwhelmed right now. Well, what does overwhelmed mean? And now we're going to have a whole conversation about this emotion, and that can set off a little alarm bell in their brain and be like, oh, I felt like that this morning. So I think having conversations of where you're at will also be beneficial for them to identify what they're going through. Our kids now can say, I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed.
This sucks.
This sucks. Yeah. Continuing on, he's been doing a lot of work to avoid letting his emotions get the best of him by taking accountability for his actions. Still, when they get to that point, he becomes combative, manipulative, and highly argumentative, which triggers me from my childhood trauma, which I accept full accountability for and am actively working through, and things get ugly quickly. Any advice you can give on the subject would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Don't let it get to that point.
I was just thinking, don't let it get to that point. The moment I become escalated because the children are escalated, go to your bedroom. I'm going to go to my bedroom. We're going to take 5 minutes. Or I tell the kids, I need a minute. Why do you need a minute? Because what you're doing right now is frustrating me to the point that I want to yell at you, and I don't want to yell at you right now. I don't want to talk to you that way. You're my child. I love you. I need a minute. And I'm going to go do something to make me feel better. And then I'm going to come back to the conversation. I'm de-escalated now. The children might still be escalated, but now I'm at a point to where I can try to help reel them back in. In regards to everything that the children are diagnosed with, our kids don't have ODD or DMDD. Those are very extreme things to handle, and that's where I would agree with my husband. Maybe therapy needs to happen.
Yep, cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectic behavioral therapy need to happen. Here's a thought, and this is going to be a not popular thought. You're the adult.
Yeah.
You're supposed to lead the house, whether it's man or woman. If you are the only parent and there when everything is going on, it is your responsibility to rally the troops and lead. If you are not able to get the world to calm down around them and do all of that, you need to find new tools to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And if for example, in a situation where I am being overwhelmed, if there is too much going on and I raise my voice, everyone in the house stops to see what is happening right now. And it's not a matter of fear. It's because I'm the one that's supposed to be leading the house. Mm-hmm. If I'm not okay, we're not okay. If I allow every little thing to get to me and I become combative and I allow the arguments to happen and I allow them to manipulate me and get their way and do all of that shit, I'm not leading. You guys are leading me. That's not how that works. If I'm like, go get your shoes on and you want to give me excuses, nah, we're leaving. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go get in the car and I'm going to put that bitch in park and start pulling out of the driveway while you're running out there with your shoes. And you get to, huh?
You can put the car in drive.
What
you can't put the car in park and move.
Oh, you know what I meant.
Okay.
Reverse, back out of the driveway, whatever. I'm going to get out. I'm going to fucking move the car and you're going to realize that you're getting left behind. And now you get to put shoes on in the car. And if you don't make it, I mean, obviously this isn't the 80s. You can't leave your kids at home alone anymore, but I still have that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get to an age where I'm going to be like, we're leaving in 5. If you're not out the door in 5, you're getting left behind.
Yeah.
I am willing to not do things to prove a fucking point.
Oh, yeah.
If we were like, we're going to dinner, we're leaving in 5 minutes, kids, and one of the kids is not ready, babe, take the other one to dinner. Go buy them ice cream, get them a fucking toy, do whatever you want to do. We're going to stay home. Mm-hmm. I'm going to fucking make that point. Bring me a grilled cheese sandwich and some fucking Texas fries. I'm going to eat a great meal. They're going to get something gross. Here's a piece of fucking 2-day-old garlic bread. I am that motherfucker. I will, and even if I don't eat dinner that night, I'm okay with that. The next time I'm like, we're leaving in 5, I bet you they're out the fucking door because they saw their sibling get it treated.
Yeah.
I man, fuck that. You're supposed to lead your household. If one person is being like lagging and doing bad in life and you're the one that's supposed to be leading, that's a reflection of you.
Mm-hmm. Our son learned a lesson like that the other morning. He was being just absolutely disrespectful to me, walking away from me, ignoring me, just being really shitty with his tone. And I was trying to help him with a jacket. And he wanted to use a different jacket. And I was like, no, Bubby, it's too cold outside. Wear this jacket today. And he did whatever he did. And I was like, that's it. I'm not helping you anymore. You're not going to talk to me like that. I'm your mother. Now I'm done. Now you can figure this out on your own.
Yep. Choice theory.
And he started getting upset. And he was like, Mommy, help me. I'm like, no, you don't get to talk to me that way and then expect me to do something nice to help you. And then he ended up leaving the house without a jacket that day. He had on a long sleeve shirt. He had on pants. Right. It warmed up 30 degrees within the next 2 hours. But it was cold when we left. And we got in the car and he's like, Mommy, I'm cold. I'm like,
crazy.
Should have listened. Shouldn't have spoken to me the way you spoke to me.
Yep. That conversation ends up being my job is to make sure that you're safe and warm and all of those things. So when I tell you that it's cold outside and to get a specific jacket, it's because I've already tested it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do something just to tell you.
Yeah.
And the next time I tell you to get a jacket, it's cold outside, and I tell you to get a specific jacket and you don't, you'll get to experience this again. Mm-hmm. Cause and effect.
Yeah.
I want to get a squirt gun and fill it with soapy water.
Yeah.
Like a super soaker because they have better aim than like the squeezy ones.
Right.
And the next time they get mouthy, just squirt it right in their mouth.
Play that game.
Yep. Be like, you had some attitude. I wanted to clean it out of there.
Yeah.
I'm just put some soap in there for you. Don't put soap in your kids' mouths. It's actually not good for them. If they swallow that, it can give them the shits. It's not good.
Yeah.
I had to lick the wet side of a pink bar of Caress.
The wet side?
Yeah. Yep. I was given the option when I was a kid to either lick the wet side of the bar of soap or whatever the other punishment was. And I just chose the wet side of the bar. And I thought I was gonna be able to just be like,
right.
That wasn't the case. I got a full tongue of that shit. It was so hard to get that out of my mouth, but
yeah.
I couldn't even tell you what I did. I just know that I had to lick the wet side of the bar of soap.
Gross.
So it obviously didn't do any good.
Right.
I think there's a whole lot of learning opportunities for children that need to be taken.
Yeah.
And it can't be taken while they're in the middle of that shit. Mm-hmm. When they're being upset and they're throwing their tantrums and they're fucking screaming and yelling and they're doing all that really bad behavior, you're not going to get through to them.
Yeah, the same way no one's going to get through to you when you're having a hard time.
Right. Especially if you're screaming at them.
Right.
And that, that's, look at your adult conversations when you and your partner are fucking screaming at each other. Are they getting through to you?
Yeah, right. Has anything been resolved in conflict for you yet?
Right. It's your job to lead, quelch the rebellion.
Yeah.
And then when everybody's calm, have a conversation about it. There's definitely, I actually don't think that it would be a bad idea. Like, I'm not opposed to washing the mouth out with soap. I think that it needs to be done as a one-time extreme situation. Like at 6 years old, if little man was like, fuck you, mom, you're getting some soap.
Yeah.
That's going to be a one-time thing. We will never do that again. And I will get on the internet to find appropriate punishments for that situation at that age. And then when everybody's calm, we're gonna have a conversation. That's not how men treat women. Your mom loves you. You know, that's not okay behavior. Why did you feel that you needed to do that? Like, we will absolutely have discussions about that shit. But
I got nothing else.
you wanna do one more, or you just wanna call it a day?
No, not particularly. I want to eat.
With that being said, guys, thanks to the Patreon community for being here today and enjoying our little recording. I hope you guys got some value out of it. My book, No One Is Coming to Save You, is live on Amazon. You can search that. It's in the link in the description here on YouTube. If you were listening on Spotify or any other audio platforms, please go subscribe to the YouTube channel. We would like to hit 350,000 this year. We're not even at 250 yet, so we have a stretch.
A little bit of a stretch.
We'll have to do 175,000, 125,000 this year to get to that goal. And with that being said, guys, remember you are the author of your own life.
So grab a pen.
And we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.